here in the apps, we can already create an app from a data source, from an existing data source. If we have, let's say, a Excel spreadsheet or a SharePoint list, you can create an app connected directly to that list and have the Power Apps generating this app for us. We can show this approach, and just for out of curiosity, but later we're going to create from scratch. But let's show this approach first, just to see how is the first setup, how is our first interaction with Power Apps if we don't know and we want to quickly see how capable this platform is. So I'm going to go to SharePoint and I'm going to create a site. So people have sites with lists inside it. I'm going to create a site for us to do this demo. So I'm going to create a team site, and let's call demo live videos, or just live videos. Let me add Leo as also an user. I think it's in the next step.
Yeah.
Yes. Let me make you also an owner. So one thing to note here is if we are going to create an app and share with others, soon we are going to see how to share with other people, this person needs to have access to the underlying data sets. So if we share an app with someone and this person doesn't have access to the data set, this person won't be able to interact and see the data inside the app. So it's two things we do separately: share the data source and share the app. There are ways to share all at once. We won't cover today because it's more advanced. We are just getting started, but there are ways to share all at once. If you're curious about the ways, it's called, one of the options is Azure AD Groups. Okay, here inside a SharePoint list, and I'm going to create a new list to store the data for the app. We can create, so a new list, we can create a blank list and create all the fields, but let's get started with a template here. So we already have predefined lists where we have the structure already. So Leo, which one do you want to choose here?
I think we can go for asset manager. Looks like a good example to start with.
Good. Several companies manage assets. Doesn't matter the type of the company, so it's a really good idea. So let's keep this one. Here we can see how the list looks like. So we have a field for the device photo, the tag, status, manufacturer, model, type, color, and several others. Serial number, purchase date, purchase price. Yeah, that's all. A lot of things here. So let's use this template. Asset manager, and let's click create. Okay, so the list is blank. There is nothing there. Let's create just a new register. So when we create our app, it doesn't come empty. It's better to see what the app does. So I'm going to create a new item here. Let's get an image for the device. So I'm going to Pixabay. That's one of the sites I use to get free images. Searching here on Bing, my preferred browser. Searching. What about you, Leo?
Yeah. I would say Bing.
Yeah. Okay, for example, let's say we're going to say information about a laptop that our company has. So I'm going to pick this picture. Sounds good. Just download. Okay, here it is. So let's get this image.
And maybe it's important to highlight something, Rudy, is in our day-to-day, of course, we wouldn't be developing like this, we have much more advanced concepts of database modeling and best practice that we would follow.
Mm-hmm.
And but this is a basic example, so I think we can, cheat a little bit, right?
Yes.
So, but just for you guys to know, if you are beginning now, there is the right way of doing things, but we are not going to cover that today. Is a more about making an introduction of basic concepts.
Yes, get started with the Power Apps building.
Mhm,
So, but of course, before starting an app, we are going to plan the data set, plan the app, talk with the end users, have the mockups. So we have a lot of
mhm,
planning before building the app. It's not just
mhm,
getting started out of nothing. This is
mhm,
just to cover the main concepts of how to build the app inside the Power Apps uh, builder, let's say, the Power Apps place.
mhm,
Mhm. So just for us to know how to build the app, but once you know how to use the interface, you better get started by getting planned before building anything.
mhm,
Yeah, we may do some videos about that if people comment, and if people want to know more, we can also for sure do also videos showing this.
mhm,
Yeah. So I just uploaded the photo. I created a tag, so PC001 status. Let's make it available. Manufacturer. Those are manufacturers. They are just made for the example, so they are already here. Let's
mhm,
get this, for example, Microsoft model. Let's say MD01 type. It's a laptop color black. No, that one was gray actually. Silver then. Serial number. Let's just add a number here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Purchase dates. Let's get one date here. Beginning of August. Price $1,000. Number of the order 001. Who is the owner? So if someone is with this computer, since I made it available, let's leave it empty. Let's say it's in the stock. There are several other things. So condition, let's just fill a couple of them. Condition notes, let's say this is a brand new computer waiting for its owner. And then let's just save. Okay, we already have one information here. Let's just
mhm,
create the other. We can duplicate. So one way I like to do is go to the grid view, select everything here, and try dragging, but didn't work in this case. Let me try again. Yes, dragging here. It will duplicate the register. Then let's just change the some numbers here. PC02 model. Let's say another model, another serial number. Exit grid view. And
mhm.
let me just download a new picture so we have two different pictures. One thing that PowerApps announced a couple of weeks ago is the support for showing the picture columns inside PowerApps. Before it wasn't possible, right, Leo?
Yeah, this is something recent, and I think this is actually a good example of what we were saying before. Uh, so I think the best practice in terms of architecture on SharePoint is to store images and other kinds of documents on a library, right?
Yes, good. Because right now we cannot change the image from the app, as far as I know. So we will be able
Yeah.
only to
Mhm,
visualize. Yeah. So if we
mhm,
were to plan this ahead, we would know that that's a limitation, and we
mhm.
wouldn't use the device photo column to store this image. We would use another way.
Yeah, I think it's important to say those things. so people won't get this example and try to build exactly the same way and getting in trouble, right?
Yes.
And another thing I think you can comment is about the types of the column. I saw that, for example, status and manufacturer, we had predefined uh, values for it. Why is that?
Yes, because this is a column of type choice. So it's a choice column, then we can predefine values. Why did you mention that, Leo? Do you have anything against this type of column?
No, it's just for those that have never seen a SharePoint list before, understand where this is coming from. So you can
Right.
define predefined choices for the field, right?
Yeah, so here, for example, when I was creating a new one, I could choose several manufacturers here. I had four options, but I could add
Mhm,
more going to the column and going to column settings, edit, and I can create new choices here. So we can add
mhm.
predefined options to choose when creating new items. And this will reflect inside the app. So once we create the app, those options will already show in there.
Great.
Um, yeah. There are some limitations as we talked about the device photo, that's a image column. The choices, sometimes if you want to send data, the approach is a little different inside the app.
Mhm,
There is also the person field we didn't fill here, but the current owner, I guess it's a person field. So let me
mhm,
see. So some of them are more complex columns, and they
mhm,
may be a little more difficult inside the app. Today we are
mhm,
going to use a form to connect to the list, so it will bring to us the options already, but there are other options. Once you get more advanced, you need to do some extra customizations. You can use also other functions, and those type of columns that are complex may cause a little bit of difficulties if you're a beginner, even if you work a lot already. Sometimes they're a
right.
little
So
confusing.
before we start this live, on the backstage, me and Rudy were talking just about it, and we are saying that we prefer to use the data types as numbers and text uh, as frequent as possible, because this can make many things more simpler, right, Rudy?
Yes, yeah, correct. If this was in Dataverse, that's another source for Power Apps, that would be
Hmm.
way easier to handle because it's already
Yeah.
thought to work on
Hmm.
Power Apps. But SharePoint already existed, then they created Power Apps and made the connection, so some columns are not very well covered yet. As we see, they are improving. As an example of the image column that now shows at least inside the app. Maybe in the future
Hmm.
it's possible to edit, also edit. But right now, the easiest way is using strings and integers, numbers to
Hmm.
store data. Yes. There is also a lookup column when we have different lists. That one for me is the most difficult one to work inside the app.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, here we have a list. So imagine you already had this list to store information about the assets. Now you want to create an app, so users don't need to come here to see the information and request the device. Then we can do this in Power Apps and share with people. So let's first see how to connect to the list directly and have an app auto-generated, and then we are going to create something from scratch. So here in make.powerapps.com, we can choose SharePoint as a data source to build the app from scratch and already connected. Then we need to create a connection. If you don't have, just click on new connection. For me, I already have, so I won't do that. Here, I don't see my site because it's very recent, so I can paste the URL here. So if I go back to my site, the URL for the site is this one right before the lists. So until live videos, that's the name of the site. Let me copy. paste in here, and then go. So we have to choose one list, only one. So the app starts only connecting to one list. That's one reason I don't like too much to do this. I like to create from scratch and then connect to the lists I want. But let's get these lists. And it will create the app in a mobile version. So Power Apps can have mobile and tablet version, and this creates in this format. So I prefer creating from scratch. Most of the apps I build are for computers using desktop, sometimes for mobile too, but I prefer creating as a tablet version and then uh, do some modifications to it to adapt to mobile and not start from mobile form.
Right, me too.
You too? Great. So here, as you can see, Power Apps created the app with three screens: one to visualize the lists, other for seeing the details, seeing more information about that item, and other for editing the item. So here it's the Power Apps ID to edit. It's inside the browser, as I mentioned in the beginning of the live. And then here we have several things we can show later, maybe when creating from scratch, but let's see how it works. So here I can press play and see the app working already in here inside the building tool. So we can edit and already test it here. So if I play, I can see those two items in there, showing here in this list of items. If I click here, I will go to the details page where I can see more details, the other columns for this asset. I can delete, it will remove from the SharePoint list, and I can edit. So if I click on edit, it will turn to a edit form where I can change some information. For example, let's say the model is not this one, it's 03. So just changed and saved. Now the model was updated, and I can see inside the list, if I refresh the page, the new name, the new model for this laptop. So here is 03. One thing just to show here, if you're not very used with SharePoint, is that we have also hidden columns here. For example, it will show who created and who edited, and also a unique ID for each register we create. It's very important to mention because sometimes people ask me, how do I store who modified, who created, or how do I create a single ID? So here we have already by default the ID column, they created by, modified by, also the created that stores the date when this item was created, and the modified that stores the date when this item was modified, and also other information here, such as attachments. We can also save attachments to a SharePoint list. For example, imagine
Mhm.
we have the PO number, the receipt, and other things, other documents we want to attach regarding this asset. We could also attach in here. So let me just show those
Mhm.
columns just out of curiosity, because we are not using since they are created by default. So see, each register we create, we have an ID, the time it was modified, who created, and so on. So we
Yeah,
just saw
it's
that.
a,
Yeah, go ahead,
it's
Lex.
a nice comment that you said, really, because I think many beginners will probably try to create those types of column if they don't know that it already exists, right? So it's like duplicating data, which is not good.
Yes, it will give extra effort to build the app, build things that
Mhm.
already is done by default. So better
Mhm.
knowing about this. Great. Okay, so as we just saw, the app just changed the item here in the SharePoint list. So imagine the user had access to the app. He didn't need to go to the SharePoint list to do any modification. Okay, so we added. Let's go and go back. Let's see in this previous page. We also can search. So PC002, for example. Imagine we have a lot of items here. We can search. It comes by default. We can change the order of display. we can refresh in case we go to the SharePoint and change something in there or add new items. And you can also create a new item. So here, when I create a new item, we see those options, and we see that the device photo, there is no way to add a photo right now. So we can just create title and other things, and this will create a new item in the list. So let's try create a new one. So smartphone X, status in use, manufacturer Contoso, model X, type smartphone, color black, serial number 12345 7, and let's save. So it will save in the SharePoint list and it will show in here, but it doesn't show the image because we couldn't add here. So let's go to SharePoint and see the item in there, and also save the new image. So let me just get an image to put in it. Smart. I said it was black, so this one that doesn't have a brand here. Just adding the picture for us to see in the app. There we go. It's already here, so it already shows us the refresh. Let's see how it works. So once I click here, it will refresh, bring the data again, and we can see the new image we just added. So creating this app in this way, connecting directly to the list, is a good way for us to see how it works. If it's the first time building an app, it's good to explore things. So here we can see, for example, over, we can see how to search items, how it works for seeing the details, editing. It's a good first approach to see how the basics work.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's show how to go ahead, Leo. We're going to say something.
Yeah, I think if you are a beginner, this is a nice way of starting out with Power Apps, because you are going to see how an app would look like and what are the main functions happening in an application. But for 99% of the time, you won't use this approach because, of course, uh, business cases are much more complex than this example right here. So we would have to adapt a lot of things. So it's much better to start from a blank screen, following all of the requirements of your project, right?
Yeah, yes, would be better having the app first planned, know what you need to do. This, for example, we would have to change how to store the picture. There are missing fields here. Those more complex fields didn't show. So we would have to adapt a lot to what we are doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Something like this, yes. Let's see how to share the app, how it works. So here I just built the app and I want to share with another user. So I'm going to go here to File, Save. I didn't save yet. That's my first time saving the app. So it shows this screen this way. And the next time it won't show these things here. So let's say Assets, App, Mobile. I'm going to save. Once I save for the first time, it keeps auto-saving my work. It's configurable, but I think by default is every 2 minutes. So once you just create the app, it's better save because sometimes we forget, especially in the beginning. We work hours and then we forget to save, and out of sudden the computer stops working. Then we lose things. So better saving at first. Have you
Good
ever
point.
lost something, Leo?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. See, now it's safe.
Painful. It's a
Go
painful
ahead.
lesson.
Yes.
Painful lesson.
Yeah. Maybe everyone needs to have this once to learn.
Mhm,
So okay, I'm going to share now. So once I click share, it will go to the other page where I can share with other people. Here I can find people inside my organization. So that's why Power Apps is for people inside your company. You can of course
mhm,
share with people from outside, but first they need to be added as guests inside your tenant. It's a little more
mhm,
complex than for this first time we are seeing the app, so let's not focus on that. But know that's also possible, but sometimes IT doesn't like that, so better talk with IT first and
mhm.
see what are the directions. In this case, I'm going to search, so I have here Leo, and I can make him a co-owner, so he can also edit the app as I just did. So he can go to make.powerapps.com and edit and perform changes. Or if I don't check this, he's only the user, so he can only play the app and cannot do any changes. You are going to do this with most of people in your organization because you're going to be the developer. Maybe you have a partner, a colleague who is also the developer, but most of the times people are only users, so you don't mark this box. In this case, I'm marking just in case Leo wants to open there to show, and I'm going to share. So he's going to receive an email being invited to use the app, and he can already have access. So I'm going to let
Mhm.
Leo show his screen to show how he, as an user, will see the app.
Okay, just a second. Let me put
Okay.
your.
I also close my app here because let's imagine Leo wants to edit. He cannot edit while I have it open. So I need to close this tab and sometimes wait a little for the back end to sync and know that I already closed.
Right, you see my screen already. Do
Okay, let's
you?
see. Mm, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so the app you just shared with me is showing up right here. I can
Wait,
see
wait.
asset app.
I'm seeing the not the wrong screen then.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Just a second then. Uh, Share screen. All right. How about now?
Let me see. Oh, maybe I was seeing yours and I was sharing mine. Okay,
Oh.
never mind.
All
Okay, I see.
right. All right. Yeah. So I'm on my account right now, and I can see the app that Rudy just created. So assets app mobile is here. I can see that he's the owner, and if I want to, I can also edit now. I can play the app too, and I'm going to edit first. So Rudy, what if we would like to edit at the same time? This message is of course saying that we can't, right?
Yeah, yeah. There is one way. There is one way to integrate the app with GitHub to have
Mm-hmm,
the control of versions through GitHub.
mm-hmm,
Then
mm-hmm,
people can open at the same time. I've tried. It's new. This thing is new. I didn't like much. For
mm-hmm,
me, I thought the app is a little bit slower in these moments.
mm-hmm.
Then I prefer doing like this. But so if you connect it
Right.
to GitHub, both people can open at the same time. Of course, they
Mm-hmm,
cannot work in the very same thing, very same page as Word, for example, Word Online. But I think
mm-hmm.
they are improving maybe in the future. So I prefer this way.
Yeah, this feature is a preview, if I'm not mistaken, and soon it's going to be uh, GA that they call, right? And
General
so
availability. Yeah.
general availability, yeah. Okay, so I can open the app if Rudy is with the app open. So luckily, if I try again right now, I will be able to open. And sometimes it happens that we have a delay, so we need to wait a little bit for editing. But I think we make the point here, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Just play the app to show how a user would see them.
yeah. And if I click on the app, I'm going to execute it, and is going to ask my permission for accessing my SharePoint connection, and is going to retrieve all the data that we have on the list. And I can do things like editing, deleting, and creating new records, which for many scenarios, this won't be good in terms of security. So for instance, let's say I'm a basic user here and Rudy is the manager of the app. So he doesn't want me to delete anything, right? So how we can solve that, Rudy? What would you suggest?
Okay,
Or
so you,
avoiding unwanted actions made by the users?
right, but would the some users be able to delete and others don't, or you want all the users to not be able to delete?
Yeah, so for instance, maybe I, as a user, can only create new items and read my own items, and I should not be able to see information from other users.
Well, I would go to the SharePoint configurations because I know that there is
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
configuration to allowing users to see only their data and editing
Hmm.
only their data. So by default, you can see everyone's data and edit everyone's, but
Hmm.
you can narrow down this configuration to allow only users see their data. No, edit there
Hmm.
and see all. I think. Am I correct?
Yeah, yeah. So I think this important point to bring here because is another common mistake that beginners make of not concerning about the security, right? So even if the information is not being shown on the app itself, if I am smart enough, I can work around and retrieve the information for, I don't know, maybe Power BI or Excel spreadsheet, or even using a bit more advanced things such as an API to retrieve the data and, I don't know, make things that I am not supposed to do, right? So as you said, we can configure this at SharePoint. Of course, there's limitations, but we can increase a little bit the level of security. And we have things like permissions and other resources that we can use to assure it.
Yes. So, but if you're working with very let's say with data
Sense,
that can
sensitive.
sensitive data, yeah, that's the word.
Hmm.
Better, I think it's better not choosing SharePoint. I like to go with Dataverse because it has several things to manage security, where people can see only their data, edit their data, or see the organization data. So it's a really granular database with management for security. I like that one a lot when it's sensitive data.
Yeah, so it's important to assess the requirements of your project before doing anything. Otherwise, you are going to taking the risk of exposing sensitive data and causing trouble on your organization, right? And we don't want it.
Yes, yes. Any data leak with sensitive data can cause a lot of damage. So it's
Hmm.
worth worrying about that before building anything that has this kind of data.